So we had a special guest. We've been talking about Emily quite a bit, even though she doesn't know about it. So Emily, when was it? How long ago was it that you worked for me? When did you start on? 2011.
February 2001.
Wow. I don't remember right about that part, but so 2001, Emily came into town office, and I think I told the story. I told her I told the story. So she came in, interviewed well. I don't remember when, but then came back on a Friday before she was going to start on a Monday, and she rolled up her sleeves, and I saw all of her tattoos, and I said, ooh, I mean, I gotta be honest, that was before tattoos were cool. Now, for some reason, maybe it is because of her, my son is all tatted up. I mean, it was her influence, maybe, I don't know. But, she said, I don't know if if you still want me to do, but I wanted to, be honest with you, and if this is what you're getting. And she says I told her, I don't know what to cover them up, but I just said, we'll keep them covered for a minute so people get to know you and don't judge you. We had an interesting relationship, to say the least. But she always brought a lot of joy and a lot of fun to our workplace. And what gave me the most joy was watching her relationship with Christ just blossom. She should be a pastor. I mean, for as on fire for Jesus as she is, and how she's impacted so many people, from her family to just, I can't tell how many people, but it's just been beautiful to watch how God can work in and through all of us. But her testimony is phenomenal. So with that in mind, I asked her to come share today. So Emily Walker.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to hold both mics.
I know, I was informed. Thank you. So yeah, I kept all my tattoos covered today. I didn't want it to trigger his PTSD. I love you. Oh no, I really have to try not to preach. I do it often, and I have to try to remember I broke the fake mic. It, it's magnetic. I don't need the spoon. All right, so look, I'm supposed to be sharing with you some things. So let me get serious for a second, which is really hard for me, and he knows that. So I'm kind of surprised that he invited me here, but because I really don't even own a business either. So what's that about? Um, but I did work from him. Was that funny? From 2001 until I left. I think it was 2000 and the end of 2008, 9. Yeah, because I went to work for we remember that. I went to work for his friend. Which I never would have gone to work for him, but I was let go, so it wasn't a choice. We had a crossroad we came to, but it was good stuff. It was a growing moment for us, wasn't it, John Mizerak? Anyways. So he wants me to talk about who I was when I started. I just shared with my table that the job I had before I came to work for John Mizerak, I was working for my family's print company. So that was the environment we had. My uncle, my dad, my 2 little brothers. And I was the only female there. So you know who cleaned everything. And that's like, it's your job, not the house. It was just weird. I had a very weird season working for my family for 5 years. My brother and I got into some words, and a physical altercation happened. And I was told that he owed my dad so much money that he had to have his job there, and I was smart and could go get another job. So I heard word on the street was there was another print shop in town that was hiring a bindery operator, and I knew how to do that. So I was applying to be a bindery operator, only doing a 16th of what I was doing for my family for like $2 more an hour. And I was like, Please. So I dressed appropriately to get the job, didn't I? He didn't even know. No, look, I applied to be a bindery operator, and once he found out what I did, he was like, mm, you know what? I'm gonna put you in my front office. So that's when I knew I really had to talk about the tattoos because he's gonna put me in front of people. That's what scared, like, I really did. I applied to be a bindery operator and was hired to be an office manager and take him from Quickens to QuickBooks, which was so much fun. But yeah, like, I just worked really close with John Mizerak. That was really, really fun. And he was a baby Christian when I first started there. But he, like, I don't know, this fire happened in him. You know, like when you first catch on fire, you got to tell everybody you know. I was like, "All right, look, there's some Better Business Bureau stuff going on in here. Like, I really don't think we should be talking about Jesus that much." I was like, "Did I just join a cult?" I mean, it was crazy. But I started noticing that he would say things, and things would line up, with his life. Well, except for when he had a call come from home and he had to tell her when he was gonna be home. Apparently, we had to tell her he already left, but he fixed that. He fixed that because God moved in him, you know what I'm saying? And was like, "I gotta stop lying to the wife. She knows I didn't leave 10 minutes ago because 'cause I'd be in the driveway in 2, and I'm not gonna be in my driveway in 2." So he started realizing it was better just be honest whether you liked it or not. Your truth was gonna be good, bad, or ugly, but it was the truth, wasn't it, John Mizerak? So I'm telling you, it was a good time to be had at Instaprint slash Allegra back in the day. Um, but I was like the anti-Christian, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry looking backwards. Like I said so many ugly things about this man and what was going on at my job to the people around me. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not gonna drink this juice. If they try to make me wear these little shoes or get in a bunk bed, I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? I'm leaving. But working there has hands down been the most blessed season I've had in my life as far as a job goes because it became more than a job. You know, he definitely made us look at our lives, made us look at our faults and the things that we could fix, and made us want to fix them, made us want to be better people. Um, I had a lot of stuff going on personally. You know, I came from a life where my mother was super sharp tongued. She didn't very much try to speak life into me. We were just talking about love languages. Mine became acts of service because it's the one where I didn't really have to be seen or heard or do you know what I'm saying? As long as I was going and doing something to make her life easier, I was loving her, but we couldn't sit down and talk about anything, you know? And for me, I was a stuffer. Hard to believe now because I talk a lot. But I used to be a stuffer. It would be 2 inches deep all the way across, and I was fine with that. But John Mizerak kept getting in my business, and you know, mostly because I'm walking around like I'm a perfectionist. So if I didn't do something the way I expected myself to do it, what was the first thing I said? I suck. How, like, there was an I suck jar even. I wasn't allowed to say it, like, literally was not like, people were tattling on me. "John Messer actually said I suck again." I mean, it was a crazy place to be, right? But but he had to rein it in a little bit, so we got him a company chaplain, and we started putting some boundaries on this kinda stuff because it really was crazy for a second. And, he just was so in love with Jesus, he wanted everybody there to love Jesus too. I do believe that there may have been a couple people that might have left just because of the temperature of the place. We ain't need them there anyway, though, for real. Um but I have to tell you, like, I was like, I didn't grow up knowing who the Lord was. I wasn't given examples of how the Lord can work. I did not like being home. So I found friends that used to go to church and stuff like that because they were always nice. Like their parents were always nicer. And I have even like come back in later in life and asked my friends that I went to school with that I knew loved the Lord. I'm like, Y'all y'all just never invited me anywhere, like, y'all weren't even trying to share this good news with me. What is wrong with y'all? And, it just really in my life with all the problems that I was having, um, a super, super bad breakup happened, a custody battle happened, uh, a lot. I remember Halloween night of 2003. I was managing an office, so last day of the month, super tense. I think anybody in business knows that. When you're working in sales and you're trying end of the month. And that guy's a numbers guy, if y'all didn't know. They had to dot and they had to be crossed and they had to line up. So it was a long day. And it was Halloween. And I had a 2-year old and a 5-year old at home, 6-year old at home. And life broke me that day, and I actually ended up calling the cops on myself, and my dad came and got me. That was my crisis of faith. I had a crisis of faith there, and I can tell you, I'd have ran my car into that wall had I not been thinking about the things that John Mizerak had been shoving down my throat at work. Um, he really, really was an influence on my faith. There were people that would come into our shop that he had relationships with other places, and they just wanted to come and use us just because they knew he was a good dude. And that's cool, right? I mean, it's good to go keep shopping somewhere because they have sales and discounts, but to have somebody keep shopping with you because of your spirit and how you make people feel about them when they come in, that's different for me. That was real different for me. Um, I was resistant, but I knew I needed to change because I couldn't keep walking around saying I suck in sponsoring these pizza parties. I couldn't do it. So I started learning that we had to speak life into ourselves. And that was a foreign concept for me. Like, y'all might have had wonderful, absolutely great parents, and mine weren't horrible. You know what I'm saying? I didn't miss meals or nothing like that. But I'm saying, like, they was looking forward to 18. I had a lot of words. And I just had to make sure that, or I didn't have to make sure I was in an environment where somebody cared enough to say, the words that come out of your mouth matter. You need to speak good over yourself. You can't keep walking around saying, I suck. Because you're gonna just end up everybody's gonna believe that you suck, even if you don't really suck. Um, He walked alongside of me in a very, very hard time in my life. Um, yeah, that was the very last time that I was suicidal. October 31st of 2003. I was suicidal probably from the time I was 18 months. My mom said she remembered a time where I was on a playground and just threw a swan dive onto the ground and told her I didn't want to be here. And she's like, "Where? Out of the park?" I'm like, "Here." the world. And she was just like, that's a lot of feelings for an 18-month-old. And I think that's when she checked out a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? And I was just left to my own devices. And I'm really glad that my brother punched me in the eye one day and my dad told me to get a new job. And I went to be a bindery operator for John because it started a really great relationship. He brought in there was a gentleman named Jack Stagman that came to work there. I forget your relationship with him, but I know this man had all kinds of extra furniture. I needed a table because I was getting ready to have a house study for my custody battle. John calls me one Saturday. I'm coming over in a truck. I got you a kitchen table. I mean, it's just so many times like that. And if we were just at work, worrying about work and worrying about printing, like he wouldn't have been paying attention to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And then Pastor Steve, like he came to my day in court. I had like 3 days in court. It took a year and a half, $7,500. I think John Mizerak even helped me with a little bit of a loan that I had to pay him back, obviously, but just to come in clutch like that. He's seen a need that I had. I mean, I must have been a really hard worker and good at my job because I don't know that you just keep pouring into people that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. I was a handful. I'm trying to tell y'all, I'm that employee, okay, that when he was out of town in Canada, look, he's about to run away. This man called me at my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, was like, I'm trying to sit here, trying to figure out how I'm going to fire you. Yeah, I almost got fired, y'all. I won't tell the story why. That's kind of immature. But I did almost get fired. All of this to say, like, he asked me to come here and talk to y'all. I think I'm one of his favorite employees ever. And it's because God. It is because of God. Because at first I was like, Better Business Bureau, Jesus down my throat. I'm over this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he had to shut the door in between my office and the front office because I was always cussing somebody out. I was a perfectionist. It was bad. But because of Steve coming in, and I can tell you, I have a stack of books. Like I was gonna bring them, but I was like, that's silly. They know how he likes books. Y'all, we did the Maxwell, we did the financial piece, we did every month. There was something that this man was setting up. I mean, he had food there because we're all hungry, and we were like, okay, at least we'll eat. We would watch movies, we would have prayers. I mean, it was awesome. We would do Easter egg hunts. This man took us to Ford's Theater to see a Christmas play once. We went as a little business family together. I'm trying to tell y'all, you can have an environment where you can share the Lord with your people. And you might not think they get it. And he probably stayed up many nights like, this chick is crazy, but I got it. And he prepared me. Look, I left him in 2008, and I'm gonna tell you what, I lost the very first person I lost in 2009, 2007. You flew me out to my grandmother's funeral. The man took points off his credit card and sent me to go to my grandmother's funeral. I will forever be grateful for that. I'm just saying there's people that you will have working for you that you really probably might think they're a lost cause. They're not. They can go on to do great things. I'm a weirdo, but I'm still reaching people for Christ. I really am. And it's because Pastor Steve, John Mizerak, his wife, Molly, spoke into my life so much. This is one of my most coveted books I ever had. It's Streams in the Desert. They came to my when I got baptized at church in 2004, and Molly handwrote me a note in this book, and she spoke chapter 3 in Colossians over my life, and it's one of the most important scriptures I ever read, and I've read it 17,000 times. But I'm just saying, you never know the seeds that you're planting, what they're doing in somebody's life. You know, we spent time eating together, spent time talking about the important things of life, and then had business. Business was secondary. And I think because of the relationships that we all had, obviously, I don't know that it was secondary. We were all trying to make money. That's kind of silly to say. Um, but we were working as if for God, like our Bible tells us to. There were times where we wouldn't print something because it didn't line up with what we believed in. You know, I don't know. I feel like there was a time where there was a purchase done. That might have been John Flynn. I said his name. That might have been your friend. No, was it you that I asked to throw all them postcards away? It was. Paid for, printed, and I asked him to throw them away. I'm telling you, I'm a weirdo, but God was like, no, he can't mail that. He can't mail that. And it's because my family, still owns a print shop, had just purchased their whole database. They acquired another print company. Unbeknownst to him, he was about to go, oh, hey, we can get new clients. I was like, please don't do that. Please. And we had to have like if you love me, don't do that. It was crazy. Do you know what I'm saying? You get into those situations, but I think when you work as if for God, it's no brainers on those kinds of things, right? It came back to you. I'm sure it came back to you. But anyway, he had some really cool clients, and one of them was Melanie Pierce. Melanie Pierce was in marketing, and she worked with a lot of the Redskins and did a whole bunch of stuff. And okay, up and until that point, I knew like John Mizerak, and you're really cool, John Mizerak, but you're not the coolest person I know. So I was just kind of like, he's like Boy Scout, like, oh yeah, like wilded out a little bit. I don't know. I met him AD, like after Christ. I didn't meet him before he found Jesus. So apparently he had a really fun streak. I ain't know nothing about that, right? So Melanie Pierce came in and she was buying printing for one of her Redskins people. Don't shake your head. You asked me to come. So oh, we got time, 5 minutes. I got this. So Melanie Pierce came in and she invited me to her church where I had lived. She was kind of local to me. And I went to that church and it was amazing. And that's when I got saved that year. And Melanie Pierce's daughter, we're talking 23 years later. Now, Melanie Pierce had me at her house for maybe like a season, 6 months. I went to her small group, went to the church, loved the music there. Melanie Pierce was so cool. She was infectious, contagious. She had that joy. She's very fun. I met her daughter. She's that big. This little girl was just in my inbox 2 weeks ago, wanting to thank me for the life I poured into my daughter. I mean, you just never know. I said that to say you never know the little seeds that you plant, how much longer, like you don't even realize, like that was such a small season. And all these years later, this girl is now married. She has her own children. She actually was at church with my daughter for a little while, and it just blessed me. The message that she sent me, you know, we have really hard seasons in life, and we never know who's watching us. The people that work for you have lives outside of the place where you work. And I know that dippy stuff can get really ridiculous and it can be time consuming. But when you feed into the character and the life of the people that work for you, you never know what they're going to do for Christ. And I think that's what all of our goals are, is to do as unto Christ, right? Working for Christ. I can say one thing too about my life changing while I worked at I360. I think probably the biggest thing that I took from working there is all the books that I have and all the little handouts that he used to give me. We did this thing called I360 reviews. And I think that you can believe what you want to believe about yourself, But until you know how other people perceive you, you really don't know. And I want to say that was probably the most humbling and most growing experience I had working for you. Um, you were the very first person to tell me that I had a big personality and to use it for good instead of showing up in a bad mood and making sure everybody had a bad day at work that day. Right? Oh, but you don't know if you don't know. Ignorance is bliss. Like, I didn't have people speaking into my life like that. And somebody can grate on your nerves, and you just got to remember they might not have nice parents. They don't know no better. So, informing your people of, the best business practices to serve the Lord, to serve each other, speak kindly to each other, get rid of the I suck jars, just help your people feed their faith, and they're going to be everything you want them to be. That's what I think.